Very nice. Most welcome, madam.
Thank you, ma'am.
It's really great to see you that you are also attending from your busy schedule. First of all, on behalf of Indian Alliance and FCRS, Federation of Community Radio Station, I want to salute all the police people for the work you people are doing during this COVID-19 spread. So first of
Thank you,
all,
ma'am.
thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
And we'll definitely, because our speakers are there, but you are at the ground level and you understand what are the exact issues and everything. So हम लोग आपसे will definitely would like to hear you also once the PPT from Ali will be over and other speakers will join us also. We will definitely talk to with like to talk to you also and want to see what is your point of view in case of traffic management in case of India, and what are the good practices you are might be doing, or the Patiala government has taken something, Punjab government has taken, and especially the district city of Patiala. So I think we are at the time, and I'll take the opportunity to first of all introduce the members with us who have already joined, our speakers especially. So we have today the today's virtual meeting is dedicated to the approach for the developing world. We all know that UN resolution has also come, and the accountability has also been set, and we have Vision Zero also with us as a target now, and 2030 target with us to reduce the fatalities by 50%, a new target with us. And before that, we start for the same. Indian Alliance is trying to let's understand the issue in a better way, especially in the developing world, and what can be the other practices, or the taking some best practices from the other world, and the conceptualizing those practices in a way where contextual conditions are also somewhere matching. So I'm first of all going to introduce Mr. Ali Zahrzadeh with us. He is a CEO of Road Safety Pioneers NGO, and has an experience of more than a decade, and now it's 15 years in road safety project management, especially in speed camera and crash data analysis, and road safety campaigns, designs, and evaluation. He has received his master in transportation from University of Tehran in 2005. He is
Rajni, your audio is mute actually. No, some problem in audio.
hello.
Yes, yes. Now it's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just saying that we are going to introduce Mr. Ali Zahrzadeh from Iran. He is the CEO of Road Safety Pioneers NGO with 15 years of experience in road safety project management, especially in speed camera and crash data analysis, and road safety campaigns, designs, and evaluation. He has also mastered in transportation from University of Tehran in 2005, and has worked as lecturer and researcher at several institutes and organizations, including National Transport Research Institute, Mashar Transportation and Traffic Organization, Road Maintenance and Transportation Organization, and Ferdovizi University Accident Research Center. His professional interest focus on road safety, and we are also seeing him for last 5 to 6 years. His passion for the road safety, and he is especially working for the children, the most vulnerable road users, and trying to focus on the behavior. So I would like to welcome Ali to the Forum of Indian Alliance. I think it's a good opportunity again to talk to you regarding the developing world. Ali has already visited India thrice and has also gone through the different situations in India on different roads. We also have with us Mr. Saeed Maqbool Ali. He is the former area manager, South Asia of Century Resources Group, Australia. And he is recently working with the organization in Odisha, dedicated to road safety. He has also been a part of road safety movement in India. He was the National Council member, Government of India, and expert member, All India Road Safety Program Implementation Committee, Government of India in the 1990s, and he is well attached with PESO. So I welcome Mr. Ali also, Mr. Maqbool Ali. We have two person with the same name today. So we are going to call Mr. Maqbool Ali as a Mac, as he suggested us. So I think soon we are going to have with us Mr. Krishna. Yeah. So till the time we'll start with the presentation, because we have one PPT with us from Mr. Ali from Iran. So I request him to let's start with his presentation. I'll just give a small description of the today's meeting. We are going to talk about the safe system approach and traffic management and the practices, especially in developing world. So Ali is from Iran and Middle East country, and we are really looking forward to hear from him regarding some practices and some suggestions for the developing world as well. So over to you, Ali.
Thank you very much, Rajni. And hello, everybody that are with us in this series and especially this webinar on safe system approach and traffic management. Here I will be with you today with a presentation. At the start, I will go through the safe system and safe system principles, and then through some examples, I will see how we can put it into or translate it into the traffic management principles, and how can we integrate these two important method of traffic management and safe system together as a whole approach to the traffic management and safe traffic management. Okay, I will start the presentation now. You know all about the 5 pillars global plan for decade of action. So we had the post road safety management, safer roads, safer vehicles, safer road users, and post-crash response. That basically it comes from the safe system. And also we have the Sustainable Development Goals, 17 goals that they are talking about how we should see the education, health and well-being, and I don't know, poverty, the different things all together, and in two parts, 3.6 and goals, and 11.2, it was mentioned that we should work on exact or specified targets like halving the road deaths, and also think about safe, affordable, accessible, and sustainable transport system for all, and improving road safety with public transport, and special attention to vulnerable road users, women, children, and people with disabilities, and older persons. So we have our goals, but we should, when at the same time that we are thinking globally, we should act locally as well. There are different type of pictures, diagrams for showing how safe system works and what are the safe system elements. So, but in all of them, we may see that there are some shared uh, points of putting the human at the center and vulnerable road users at the center, and think about the speed and how the speed impacts the safer roads, and also different things that we mentioned before on the 5 pillars. Also, it has been mentioned here in the safe system elements. This is also another way of presenting the safe system in different countries, from New Zealand to Australia, then UK, US, and some developed world countries. So more or less, they are the same, talking about safe speed, safe roads, safe vehicles, safe road users, and putting the human at the center, and then think about how we can use it in our country. So that's the main thing, is thinking about we are more working on preventive measures than reactive. However, at the same time, we should have both in our mind and work on both sides. But of course, we should know when just we are talking about the road, we must know like road safety audit, impact assessment and inspection, or preventive strategies that more deal with the risk assessment, and some measure treatments like black spot management and network safety management are reactive measures that are mainly work with where the crashes happened, or what type of road users had the most share on our crash database. So uh, at the same time, we should uh, work on two strategies, but the safe system indicates that the preventive measures is more important, and we should be aware that what can be done in this part. Very, very simple. It's when we talk about the road system, we should focus on deaths and serious injuries and not crashes. Crashes may happen. So we should, instead of fixing the road user, blaming the road user, and say we should stop the crashes, we should think about stop the injuries and death and fix the road system. That's what the safe system approach are talking about, that trying to shift from this type of thinking to the new type of thinking. So it's SysG's model that also is the base of this safe system approach, that there are different type of errors, maybe system design, quality control of a road or vehicles, and also we have some unsafe actions like what uh, driver may do speeding, overspeed, and all of these together may cause a crash. But we should design it in a way in these different layers, design these different layers in a way that in one of the layers, the stop of the crash to happen. It's the sequence of events or chain of the events. So we may have distraction and tailgating and speeding and broken down the vehicle, late braking, no time to reaction, and the impact is a crash with some deaths and injuries. So we should stop it before it goes to the final impact and the final outcome, that is a different number of fatalities of a crash. These are the 4 safe system principles that people make mistakes that can lead to crashes. The human body has a limited physical ability to tolerate crash forces before harm occurs, and the shared responsibility exists among those who design, build, and manage and use roads and vehicles and provide post-crash care to prevent crashes. And all parts of the system must be strengthened to multiply their effect. So, and if one part fails, road users are still protected. So that's the 4 principles of safe system. And so when we talk about the chain of events, we may have at the start the normal driving, then deviation from normal driving, and then emerging situation, critical situation, crash of unavoidable, and then crash happens, and then we need emergency and services and healthcare. So it's like a dynamite. It's going to happen and may destroy or kill different people. Then we should cut or stop at the earliest stage possible by different elements, different measures that we should think about it and start to work on it. Also, we have a definition for that talking about safe system definition. The safe system is a holistic and proactive approach, and also when crashes occur, ensure that impact forces do not exceed the limits, as we talked about the human body. And if one part of the system fails, other components act to prevent. And the safe system combines enforcement, education, safe road design, management of safe operating speed, and safe vehicles and post-crash response. So these are a definition of a safe system approach. But when we talk about that, we have also the traditional approach that we also in developed countries before the 1970s, they were also doing the same thing, that we should provide information, education, campaigns, regulation, surveillance to make the individual road user behave correctly in traffic. So we should show them and ask them to behave correctly. But the change happened, and now here we can see what's different with the traditional approach and, for example, Vision Zero in Sweden. What is the problem? Prevent all the crashes. It was in traditional, and now Vision Zero only focuses on fatal and serious casualties. And what is the appropriate goal? Reduce the number of fatalities and serious injuries. But here we can see 0 fatalities and serious injuries. Are the target or the appropriate goal? What's the major planning approaches? Reactive, but here we have proactive target. Cause of the problem, road users, but here we say that people make mistakes, and we should design the system in a way that all the road users are safe. So the other, who is ultimately responsible? The traditional, we had the individual road user, but now we say there's a shared responsibility by individuals with system designers. And how does the system work? It is composed of isolated innovation. For example, I say, okay, I'm doing the campaigns, I'm doing the enforcement, so it would be enough. But in the Vision Zero, the safe system approach, we say that different elements of safe system combine to produce a summary effect greater than the sum of the individual treatments. We should rebalance the road injury prevention effort. As you can see, the traditional approach Morty talks about 70% we should or work or fund on the behavioral issues, and maybe 20% road design, 10% vehicle. But the safe system talks about this this change that we should work and invest more on road design deficiencies and vehicle intelligence system to prevent crashes. This is also a new diagram of showing the principles of a safe system, then the core elements, and also the action areas that we will speak about some of them, some of the action areas here later on. And this is the very famous diagram of what's the safe system. We have the different institutional management functions at the base, so like coordination, legislation, funding, promotion, monitoring and evaluation, and R&D and knowledge transfer, that at the upper layer, all of these come to interventions to road planning and designing and operation and vehicles, drivers, recovery, rehabilitation of crash victims, and all of this to the upper layers result in outputs, intermediate outcomes, final outcome at the toughest layer. The social cost will decrease. The social cost of traffic injuries and traffic crashes will decrease. The final outcome, for example, will have the number of fatalities, the number of serious injuries, and intermediate outcome, for example, would be the percent of helmet wearing, percent of people who wear their seat belt, and at the output, for example, we will have the laws, new for example, for the road work, for new handbook, new standard. So we need all of these elements to have the final result of reducing the social cost of crashes. But now let's talk about the traffic management and how to integrate safe system approach in traffic management. When we talk about traffic management, mostly in the engineering conferences and seminars, we are mostly thinking about, okay, how we are doing on freeways, what's happening in urban traffic, what's happening in parking management, what about road works, incident and event management, and public transportation. So different things happen in these things, but data is the key to everything. We need data, good data system, volume data, crash data, and road data at first, and we should collect data because with the reliable data, we can plan and do everything that could be effective. Now we have loop detectors on roads, we have video surveillance systems, we have floating car data, we have, of course, operators that working and looking at what happens on the roads, and roadwork system, highway system, VM, variable message signs, weather data comes to the system, and based on this all of this data, we can work on, okay, how to inform drivers through radio, through SMS, through our web portal, or guide them through in-car navigation and about the temporary speed limits, or when, for example, we have different kind of weather and CCTVs, parking management. All of this happens with reliable data. And for data, of course, we must have data characteristics that should be data accessible, integration, consistency, and uniformity, completeness, accuracy, and timeliness. There are the different characteristics of data that we need to make correct decisions. But there is one formula for the success. We should have a goal. We should aim high. We should have reliable data, high quality analysis, high quality intervention based on the goal, data, and analysis, and do the monitoring evaluation to reach our goal. And this is the, of course, the success formula that in every project we need it. And of course, for the traffic management and safe system approach, we make sure that we are monitoring and evaluating these interventions. And safe system is necessary from design to operation, from the very early stage of planning and to providing the what happens on the before starting the projects, the earliest state of the project, and after, for example, when we're designing the road and then designing the details, and then going to open the board, and then we have also some different things that mainly when crashes happen on that road. So the safe system is necessary from design to at the final operating level and stage. And also we need it in land use and urban planning. For example, in safe system, we're talking about when we have a mixed traffic, what should be the speed limit when we have residential areas, when we have local area, and then we have, for example, other type of roads. So here the speed is that's the main reason why we are talking these days that when we're talking about finding the best speed limit for a road, like before, only the 87th percentile is not enough, and we should consider other things to limit the speed by other elements, like, okay, what is the crash types, or not only the history of the crash type, but also the possibility of crash type. Okay, what kind of crashes may happen at this, for example, intersection, or this street based on roadside and pedestrian, or the pedestrian. So we are talking about the risk assessment and the possibility of happening some, and go to the what's the impact the speed possible, and which then we set the speed limit for that road or intersection. Of course, we have traffic calming measures as before, but the safe system approach put pressure on that, that we need to think about the different type of traffic calming if we want to have lower speed in cities, and especially in local areas. And we may have safer intersections by reducing the conflict points. So we have, for example, in an intersection, I think 32 conflict points, but when we change it to a roundabout, so as you can see the this figure, we can reduce the number of conflict points, including crossing conflict point, merging or diverging to the minimum possible, and maybe this kind of changes translated to a safer traffic management. So we may have safer, because the possibility of crashes and severe crashes have been reduced. In different documents, the UN document and the SDGs, we are talking about the students' safe route to a school, wherever, or whether it's by walking or cycling or using the other type of services, but we should ensure that they are safe, they are walking in safe footpaths, they are using the safe vehicle routes at a different type. You can walk on that. And also, if they are using a school bus, if they are using the cars, it must be safe, and we must have safety. But education is not enough. We know that education changes knowledge, but not necessarily education changes the behavior. But knowledge is not behavior. I mean, there are different researches shows that, however, for example, people know that they talking on a phone while driving is risky, high risk, but of course many of them are doing it when they are driving, when they are at the wheel, driving behind the wheel. So it should work together with enforcement, with other like social marketing, other things that we, all of these types of intervention may work together to reduce the number of people who do risky behavior. And of course, knowledge may we provide education, information, and it in terms of knowledge, we may have new skills and attitudes in a road user, and then we may have behavior. So it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. Maybe we should work, but we should have a defined goal and go ahead. So safer trips for VR use, another thing in drive in public transport and also in traffic management. We do know that when we start increasing the public transport share, so it means that we have more walkers, more bicyclists, or more people that walk from home to the nearest, for example, metro station or bus station. So we should have the safe routes between home and the public transport station, and you should be aware that when we promote the public transport, we are inherently increasing the risk of walkers being killed in a traffic crash. So if we have not thought about the safe route from home to the public transport stations before, so we should think about it. We should think about the link from home to the public transport station, and only in this condition we may be sure that we are promoting the safe public transport, not only the public transport, and put the pedestrians and cyclists at the center, and then work about other parts of that. So it's also about the traffic separation. When we talk about traffic,
Ali,
safe
I'm
traffic
sorry, I'm
management.
interrupting.
Okay.
We have hardly 1 or 2 minutes. We need to
Okay.
complete the presentation. Yeah.
Okay, sure. I think I'm at the end.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
traffic separation is also another tool we should think about when we are doing the street design. So how to separate, for example, bicyclists or motorcyclists if it's possible, uh, and minimize the need for trucks to enter the local streets, or again mix the traffic of heavy vehicles and other type of vehicles, because of the, for example, this here we can see the blind spot of a heavy vehicle that may be risky when the driver is driving in a local road. And we are talking about forgiving roads. As you can see in these pics that I have selected, these type of roads are not forgiving, because you see that the guardrails that should protect drivers, but they are killing the drivers and other occupants. So we should very carefully think about how we can make our roads forgiving and self-explaining, how to do marking and delineations and other things on the road when we see they are talking with drivers, sign and signals, and they should be self-explaining and guide them in a safe way. So it's another thing. And roadside safety, it's a very important issue in many countries, including Iran. Even in the US, you can see that 56% are roadway departure, and most of them are caused by hitting a tree or pole. And of course, the work zone safety. When we have road work, we should be aware that how to inform people from uh, distance that he should be able, or she should be able, to decrease his or her speed, and no more crashes happen because of the temporary work that we are doing at the road. And also incident management, how to inform driver using the VMS, radio, other things that we have. We are working with that, so it's very important to inform them before to be able to reroute, or be aware that they should reduce the speed. And also vehicle safety, we are not talking about here, and it's important. There are different items in vehicle safety. It's very important. Also the post-crash we are not covering in this presentation. Just we can, in traffic management, we have emergency vehicle preemption that give priority to the emergency vehicles, that it happened through traffic management centers, and it's such a thing that we may consider when talking about the safe traffic management. Thank you very much. It was what I thought that maybe be covered in this presentation, and I will be with you for the Q&As. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ali. It was indeed very brief presentation on safe system approach, and that was the reason I approached you for that, because I know you are very much master into it now, and we would actually want to know. Might be people have some ideas about safe system approach and everything, and how the developing world is taking it up, and how we can also make our roads more safer by using all the 4 aspects of safe system approach in that. And I think the Swiss cheese model again reminded us a lot of things. So thank you again for your presentation, and we must have many questions for you. But before because we have 2 respected other speakers also, we are going to open this, because we have with us we have C. Krishna Prasad, IPS, Mr. Sir with us, and I would like to welcome him on behalf of Indian Alliance of NGOs and FCRS, Federation of Community Radio Stations. Prasad is very much known personality, and I think people who are working in road safety have also met him and knows his views also about the road safety. He's a very passionate road safety expert now. He has also written. I come to know that he has also written an author of some good books as well, if I'm not wrong, and having a 33 years of rich experience in infrastructure development in ports, airports, railroads, BRTS, metro, industrial clusters, SEZ, international convention center, and pharmacy, etc. So I welcome you, sir, in this platform where many NGOs are listening to you and must have many questions to talk to you regarding that, because traffic management is one of the issue for us, all of us, that we need to cater. And we have Mr. Mac with us, Mr. Makbulji with us. So I straight away reach to Mr. Makbul. You are listening, Mr.?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So we would like to know something, because you have a background from entirely technical background also. You are working with some of the organizations as well. You have an experience from the Singapore as well. And you are also have been part of many initiatives by the government of India. So how do you see the technology and the traffic management together? And as Ali has mentioned some of the points under the safe system approach regarding the segregation of traffic and special attention to the vulnerable road users. And if we'll talk about under the Indian context, so how we can take up these issues? Because if I'm not wrong, Ali also will be, I think, will be in agreement with me that in safe system approach, there is also a need of a good finance with you, high finance also, the funds also require in some way, and the conditions of exactly the current road. So how do you see, I just want to give that entire scenario of safe system approach related to Indian context and the expertise on that for traffic management. Over to you.
Thank you. See, basically, when we are talking about traffic and traffic management, what's happening is that in different countries, you find the approach to traffic is different. But ultimately, the end result is always safety. Everyone is interested that the person using the road should be safe. And especially like Ali has mentioned, that it should be actually people-oriented. Basically, we want to keep the people safe for using the roads, either walking on it, cycling on a motorcycle, in a car or truck, it doesn't matter. See, what's happening today is we have all gone into this for many, many years. I have worked more than 40 years on road safety. And what I find is the time has come that just like we are interacting now using technology, the time has come that we should now focus on technology. Without the use of technology, it's going to become very difficult to actually implement road safety in a proper manner. Now, for example, very simple things. In Singapore, I'll just give you just example is that if you are traveling at any time of the day or night and you violate, the CCTV will take a photograph of it, and it may not happen immediately. But maybe 2 days after, a day after, even 10 days after, someone is going to see that you have violated, and you'll get a small clip of 10 seconds or 5 seconds telling you that on this particular day, at this particular time, you violated a particular, either you ran through a red light or you were parking on the wrong area, whatever. And you will get a fine, and it could be just a simple, if you want to challenge the fine, you have to go to a traffic court. Now that's simple. Now, my focus is going to be on CCTV in the beginning, is because, see, CCTV at one time, 20 years back or 15 years back, was expensive. Now the CCTV is practically in every house you can have a CCTV now. Now for security reasons, we are having them. We are having them for even traffic parking areas, you got small security areas, you got in garages, you've got them everywhere now, including in cinema halls and malls everywhere. So the first and foremost is we must, now the time I'm talking with the term of India, but at the same time, even Iran and other countries which are sharing the same type of similar population, similar traffic problems in the way we are going about now, is the density of traffic is so high now in our country, especially in India and almost all the other neighboring countries also, that you will see that because of the density, the possibility of crashes or accidents increases. If there would be less density, then the possibility of crashes reduces. Now, apart from your speeding, wrong way of driving, wrong way of handling stuff, the density always plays a very important role. I think Mr. Ali will agree with me there. The important part here is that when we have CCTV put on all the major intersections of the roads and the T-junctions and areas where there's a lot of crowd, what will happen is, apart from actually getting the data, that's actually how the traffic is being managed at that area, and apart from doing that, the second thing which is going to come up is that apart from getting the data, we will actually create a fear or a prevention psychosis in the person who are using the roads. They will be aware that there is somebody watching me. Just like when a teacher is there in the class, the boys, students are very careful. And when the teacher walks out, they start talking amongst themselves. Similarly, in traffic area, if you have a CCTV, even if it's not working, the very presence of the camera itself will put a little bit of fear in the heart of the road user or the driver, and he will be careful. Now, that itself is the first step towards safety. When a person tries to prevent or becomes careful and is aware that if he does a mistake, he will be taken to task, the safety immediately starts. The second thing we see is when you have CCTV, you can actually monitor traffic. If you see there's in a particular area, the density is too much, and you find through CCTV, immediate the control room will send a message either by by SMS or by calling on a mobile phone or by Wi-Fi or by your intercom. He can call and tell the person that there's a lot of problems in that area, send for traffic policemen extra there. Now that's a second advantage of having a CCTV, where you can actually channelize, monitor, and manage the traffic system on a continuous day-to-day basis. And this can happen 24/7. Now the CCTVs do not have to be in the cities. You have electricity and you have a backup solar system panel backup system. What happens if the electricity fails? You still got a system of a solar panel, which actually, I think there's some disturbance. You can can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Now it's clear, sir. Now
Okay.
it's clear.
Thank you. So this is the one where we have these solar panels can also help. Now look at the national highways. We have most accidents, about 60% of the accidents take place on highways. Now, why is that? The reason these accidents take place on highways is because the driver is aware that nobody is monitoring him. So he can drive whichever way he likes at whatever speed he likes, because there are hardly any speed traps and there are hardly any policemen around. And what happens is he is bindas. He doesn't care a damn. He just goes on the way he thinks is okay, the way he thinks he should be driving. Most of the truck drivers try to make up time. Similarly, bus drivers make up time so that they reach earlier. They can get bonus from the masters and from the owners. And at the same time, they also reach home or wherever they want to go faster. Now that creates a problem because the faster they go, the reaction time reduces. And once the reaction time reduces, the possibility of accident increases. Now, when you put CCTVs at regular intervals, let us say at every 30 kilometers or 20 kilometers, you have CCTVs. What will happen is that particular somebody, elder brother is watching me, comes even in the highways. And it's very easy. Again, if you have Wi-Fi systems, we have CCTVs, which can be put every 20, 30 kilometers away. And we can put flashes to tell the drivers that slow down, this is a bad area, or this is a black spot area, slow down. And this actually happens. Now, moving from there, from CCTV, the second part which I find very important is road markings. In India, unfortunately, either or not on highways or even in the cities, we draw a straight line in between the road like a divider, and then we think that's done. No, it's not. The road signs should talk to the driver. The road signs tells the driver, slow down here, stop here, watch out here, be careful here. All this is the road starts talking. The road sign, which you see on the side of the road, is something a driver never watches because he's watching the road. Now, if you put a slow down sign on the road, written on the road, he will start slowing down. If you write it on the side of the road, he may or he may not see it. If you put a flasher on it, then maybe he will see it. Now, see the difference. When you're driving and the road is talking to you, you know exactly what's going to happen. The road says 20 kilometers away is a bad spot, be careful. 20 kilometers away. And then says 10 kilometers away, be careful. What happens psychologically gets preferred that after 20 kilometers, after 10 kilometers, after 5 kilometers, I have to be careful. Or it says there's an intersection coming up 5 kilometers from now. There's a road merging 3 kilometers from now. This is a warning given to the driver, both on the road and beside the road. See, this is a very important thing. If you look at it, you will realize that when the road starts talking to the driver is at ease, he's relaxed. And once the driver is relaxed, he's cautious. Once he becomes cautious, accidents will be reduced. Now we move to the next one. At night, when you drive at night, how is the road going to talk to us? That's where we put in the reflective road signs. Road markings. The road markings have to be, in Australia, it's a very simple system on the side of the road. When you just actually get into the shoulder of the road, there are very, very small rumblers. It is not rumbler across the road, it's rumbler along the road, a small, about, I think they are about 2 inches by 1.5 inch, that's all. But they are put every 3 inches away. So the moment you move towards them, the steering will start going brrr. And the moment the steering, if you are feeling sleepy or if you are not conscious, your steering will start vibrating. And then immediately you are awake or you are, oh shit, I've got right to the side of the road. Let's get back. This happens. I have watched this and I was surprised to see this and very pleasantly surprised because this is a warning to the driver that you are losing, you're going out of the main area. So the possibility when a driver goes to sleep or dozes, he wakes up. This is something we have to look at, especially on highways. The other one which I feel very important is flashes. Solar, you can use solar and put flashes on intersections, at T-junctions, and at areas where you have black spots. Where there's a danger spot, you put a black, you normally put a red flasher along with a yellow flasher, alternate blinking. So what happens is far away, even from about a kilometer, he says red and yellow, and that psychologically says that gadbadi hai, something is a problem, I've got to slow down. This is what, if it's only a yellow flasher, he knows there's a problem, but a red and yellow combination knows it's definitely a problem. So these type of, we have to talk to the driver on the national highways, in the cities, wherever they are driving. The drivers have to talk to the signals, to the road, to the side signs, so that with nobody being there, they themselves become cautious and understand it is the road talking to them every time they are there. They will not get bored. They'll always be conscious of what they are doing and they will drive safely. Now we move to the next one, I'll say, apart from the flashes. One thing, the national highway, we had discussed this way back in the 90s. And the government of India had agreed to do this, but unfortunately, it's not been done until now. That is, every 30 kilometers, they should put in a comfort area, restrooms, a comfort zone, a place that when a driver, you see, when a driver is driving and he feels like he's going to go to the toilet or he needs to use a washroom, what happens is his concentration breaks. He's conscious of his body's need, then about the road. That's where he loses focus on driving and possibility of crash or accident or hitting somebody comes up. He can even go into a tree or a divider. So what we do is every 30 kilometers on one side of the road, we put in a comfort zone. The comfort zone will be having restrooms, toilets. We'll put in, let us say, small dhaba, like small restaurants, where you get tea, coffee, maybe even dinner, whatever it is, which drivers have, and they can put in a dormitory, paid. Everything is paid, nothing is paid, including the toilets are paid. You have to pay 5 rupees for using the toilet. You go to the, you go to the dormitory, beds are there, only beds are there, a charpoy is there. There'll be a simple bed, which you pay about 10 or 20 rupees per night, and that the driver can take rest. Now, what happens is when the driver knows that he has got a place, and then there's enough place to park his vehicle. Now, he parks his vehicle, he can take rest, his helper can take rest. This was especially for trucks, and even for other drivers who are doing. Bus drivers normally only stop for having a bit of snack or a cup of tea or something and carry on. Now, the other thing you'll find with this, in that place, they can have minor maintenance facilities. They can have washing facilities for the vehicles. They can have greasing facilities. They can have tire repairing facilities, small things, which actually generate finance for the people round about that area. At the same time, it actually gives a comfort to the driver or to the person who's using the road. Now, you can also put in like small in and out stores where you get, maybe some snacks, maybe bread, maybe some cool drinks, maybe water. So these type of things every 30 kilometers on one side of the road. Please hear me clearly when I say one side of the road. That means on the other side of the road, you also give in 30 kilometers, but in 15 kilometers difference. That is at the, let us say here it is 0 kilometer. On the left side will be when I'm driving through 30 kilometers, I'll find the second one. But on the right-hand side will be on the 15 kilometers one. So please try to understand the reason. That means every 15 kilometers you have got a shelter. Now the driver can keep on driving if he is going, if he wants really after 15 kilometers, he doesn't have to cross the road. He'll go under, and there should be an underpass for him to come and use that. Now this is where I come to the next part of it. Our highways have intersections. Most part, in most of the developed countries, there are no intersection on national or motorways. You should not have an intersection on national highways. There should be only underpass, because when a vehicle is going at full speed and something comes in between, the possibility of accident increases multifold. And people, you cannot take care of them, because once they start coming into intersections at night, it's one of the most dangerous things which can happen. Now we move on. I would like to move on to the other part of it, which I say is driver training facilities. We are talking about CCTV, we are talking about road markings, we have talked about comfort to the driver. And now what you do is, like, we have bus terminuses, or even these, before I forget, in these particular places where we have these shelters or comfort zones, we must have trauma care centers there also, because the facility is there. We have a trauma care center, so that if there's, if God forbid there's an accident, in that 30 kilometers range or 15 kilometers range, you've got an ambulance standing which can immediately go and help. If in 15 kilometers on either side, if he goes, it'll take him 15 minutes to reach that point. That means in the golden hour, you can actually have a vehicle reach the accident site in 15 minutes. And the trauma care center will have all facilities, including your facility for talking to the police, talking to hospitals, talking to, they'll have facilities of both your mobile phones, your intercoms, and everything. What will happen? It will become easier for them. And this area, this will also help us. We move into driver training in these places and also in terminuses, bus terminuses, truck terminuses, wherever it is. We have a monitor, TV monitor, with a continuous process of road safety training going on. It is not that you have to sit down and watch. It's going on like an advertisement. 30 seconds video TVs telling you that what safety is, how to drive, how to be safe, how to walk, how to cycle. And another 15 seconds or 20 seconds, a GIF system where continuously it is showing that how an accident can occur, how you have to be safe. And it doesn't matter even two people are watching. It's 24/7, it keeps on going on and on and on. And it can actually be on a loop. That is, after 1 hour, the same thing will come back again. And what will happen is the drivers who are having some time will just sit down and say, oh, this is very interesting. Even if one of the particular messages you are sending out actually interests him, you actually saved a life there. Or you have taken the actual, you have encouraged and about road safety, and the person involved, the driver, has learned something new. Now, moving on, this is something we can do on a continuous basis in almost all the terminuses. The special traffic violations which are taking place, whenever there are traffic violations going on, the problems come in that the police, unfortunately, are always overburdened. And because they are overburdened, they try to shirk. Not it's their fault, because if there are 10 accidents and there's one person trying to carry, he'll really go crazy running from point to point. So what has happened in many countries, they have put in special traffic violation courts, only meant for traffic violation. And these are only minor violations, nothing major. It is like you don't have you have broken a speeding limit, or you don't have a license, or you don't have a brake light, or you have actually parked in the wrong place. What will happen is, this will give you a challan. There'll be a video taken out at the time. And if the person is there, he refuses, you take his undertaking or a signature from him saying that this is, you were actually violating. He may say, no, I didn't violate. Doesn't matter. Let him write it down. This goes to the traffic code where there's only one magistrate and one police officer of rank of sub-inspector or inspector assisting him. No lawyers are required. No advocates are required. The only thing the magistrate does is fine. Suppose a challan has been for 2,000 rupees fine. He takes a decision on the spot. It should be 1,500, 2,000 full fine, or it's not worth it. He can be completely free. So these type of things are necessary today, that if we really want to make our streets safer, our roads safer, our people and our drivers using the road more educated, more open to it, this is the best way to go about it. I think this is basically putting everything in a nutshell. We can go into details later on. I hope that, I've covered most of it possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. It was really good. Even the points you have raised about, we always talk about the driver's facility and it's always ignored somewhere. And we talk them that they are the Sarthi of the country, means they are running the country indirectly or directly. So their facilities are always, because we talk about traffic management, we talk about good roads, but if the road user is not in a right condition, so also that is a concern for all of us.
True.
So their condition is also cannot be taken granted. So, and your other points are also, I think many of other listeners are also making some questions on that. So we'll come to you later on. And now we have Mr. Tri Krishna with us. Welcome, sir. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you very clearly, loud and clear.
And can we see you also?
Yeah, I can see you and all my fellow panelists. And
welcome, Mr. Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Krishna, I think here many of the people who are listening to you are very much aware who you are, the personality is, and I think with your experience, people must be ready with many questions. But I want to start with, because we are talking about the safe system approach. Mr. Ali has already mentioned about this in a very brief way, and then Mr. Mack has also mentioned about the management point of view, that how CCTV cameras and how facilitating the drivers on the way, and even the most important thing, let's roads speak to the driver. Let's have a communication in that way, so that the signages which are putting at the one side should have some meaning. Those shouldn't be any meaningless thing. But I want to, because everybody knows you and we have very much introduced, and I don't think so you need any sort of more introduction. I'm straight away coming to you, sir, that Motor Vehicle Amendment Act. We are here because we are talking about safe system approach. We are talking about traffic management, and we have Motor Vehicle Amendment Act, which is actually was in need, and now we have. But if I talk about the traffic management and safe system approach, so these two things always talk about the safety of the vulnerable road users also, which includes pedestrians. So I want to ask you, or even want to know, I think everybody might be agreement in that how we can have pedestrian also in a part of traffic management, because safe system approach also ask for the, and still we don't have any proper law in case of having that act also, where we can have pedestrian also as a part of traffic system. And along with that, how, because we were talking about the CCTV cameras, because I had raised that question to Mr. Ali, Mr. Mac also, that the safe system approach in the safer roads always talks about the segregation for the road users, segregation of the traffic, different type of traffic. So how things are actually possible at the ground level in today's scenario in India? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Rajini Gandhi, and my greetings to all the participants and particularly to the respected panelists. I saw the total presentation of Mr. Ali Zaherzadeh, and I listened completely what all Mr. Syed Maqbool Ali has spoken. And I'm having a benefit of having very, very distinguished speakers who spoke before me, and I gained a lot from looking at your presentation and listening to you. And particularly Mr. Ali Zaherzadeh, I am really impressed with the knowledge that you have amassed in the last few years of your engagement with road safety and traffic management. Rajni, I'm very much in agreement with what you're saying. And if I try to put it in a slight perspective, the two things, two very simple stats I would like to quote here is if you look at the total number of casualties that the country is facing, let us say about 151,000 people are dying every year, and we are losing about 3% of the GDP of the country every year in the road crashes. It's colossal loss. A. B. If you look at the national highway plus state highway together with the other MDRs and other roads, the national highway and the state highway together add up to only 5% of the total road network of the country, and are responsible to 63% of the total accidents, road accidents in the country, and are responsible for 66% of the casualties in the country. That is a perspective, let me put straight. Now, when you look at the age factor, this is where I'm coming straight to your question. Globally also, 15 to 29 years, they say, the WHO says, the 15 to 29 years age group is, within the age group, the biggest causative factor for casualties in the world is road crashes. 15 to 29 years. When it comes to India, 61% of the total casualties of the road crashes are with the VRUs, pedestrians, cyclists, and the two-wheelers. Now, road safety or the road or any facility you create is for whom? Let us address that question first. Is it for the vehicle or is it for the people to move? Is it for the vehicle to move or is it for the people to navigate from one place to another place? This is a fundamental question. Now, how a person navigates is his choice. You need not necessarily always travel by a four-wheeler. It's a question of affordability. Now, again, I'm coming back. I'm putting a layer over layer of the VRU and the age group. Age group, I said 15 to 45 years, 61% of the total casualties are in this age group. More than 50% of the casualties are in the VRU. If you again put the layer, they're the same people. Now, who are these same people? Let us see. Let us peep into their door or window and look at that family. Now, India talks about demographic dividends. India talks about demographic dividend. India is very much proud of a demographic dividend. It says until 2000, from 2030 to 2050, our country's population, 50% of that is going to be in a productive age group. That means it goes to either office or a factory or produces goods, participates in the economic activity, and the GDP goes up. precisely in that age group, in the road crashes, more than 50% who are dying are in that age group only. So if you put these three layers one above the other, you see it's a very tragic story. Now, when you know these are the people who are getting affected in the road crashes, as a road engineer, as a planner, as a legislator, as an officer, as a bureaucrat, what care have you taken anywhere in the country, in any city in the country, to give them dedicated space? Where is a dedicated space for a pedestrian? I am saying the right to walk is superior than to right to drive.
True.
Right to walk is much more superior than right to drive. When I have fixed the speed limit in Hyderabad city at 40 kilometers per hour, many friends came to me and shouted at me saying, "Ki, boss, what are you doing? I am having a Merc. I am having a BMW. You have spent crores of rupees by laying this beautiful road which looks like a mirror. And my machine can run at 220 kilometers per hour. You are restricting me to 40 kilometers per hour. What do I do with this crores of rupees machine?" So he's not bothered about the life of the other road users. He's only bothered about the fun that he wants to have in his machine. So this is the attitude. Now you look at our own friends, many of them who come from the NRIs, the so-called NRIs who come from America or Dubai or Singapore. There they bloody well follow all the traffic rules. But when they get down from the flight in the airport and come to the city and they want to drive through the city, maybe for half an hour or 1 hour he's still trying to follow the traffic rules. But then he's motivated by other road users who are violating all the traffic rules and still getting away. So he said, "Arey, main kyun karu? Let me also to violate the traffic rules." So everybody is actually busy in violating the traffic rules. So there are two things here. As a legislator, as a planner, as a governance, are you giving any infrastructure for the pedestrians? Are you giving any infrastructure for the two-wheelers? And mind you, India is not like USA or Australia or Singapore or Dubai. The multimodal transport that you see in urban areas, I presume, Rajini, that you are talking more about urban areas, whereas I'm more bothered about the national highways and the state highways, because that's where 66% of the people are getting killed. Anyway, we'll park that for a moment. But when it comes to the pedestrians, which we're mostly talking about the urban scenario, when we're talking about the two-wheelers, mostly talking about the urban scenario, the cycle, which is not on the national highway, but in the city, have you as a country given them a dedicated lane? You're not bothered. People are dying in millions. You're not bothered. So there is no infrastructure. There is no rule. Your shopkeeper wala, many of them are relatives only. Where does he keep his goods for showcasing? His shop is inside. But majority of his new arrivals are on the road, on the footpath.
True.
So he's encroaching onto the footpath. You as a government, you are encroaching on the footpath by putting your substations, your electric poles, your dustbins, the municipal corporation dustbins. And somebody comes with a brilliant idea, let me put a sofa in the middle of the pedestrian. Kyun kar rahe bhai? So governance for that matter is not paying attention to the road safety. It is paying attention to so many other things. There are also requirements, but there's a way to do it. But road safety is a casualty. I fully agree with you. When it comes to the pedestrians, people are dying in millions, but the system has not responded to that situation. I hope I answered
very much. Yeah, very much true, sir. The issue is that because we are talking about the new decade, which is from 21 to 30, And again, the target is to reduce 50% fatalities. Even there is a continuous discussion that we need to approach some systems from the European world or the American world, how the good practices there we can use here. But I think we need to understand what is the reality of our own countries, and might be something we have different, or some issues are very much different from other countries or other continent as well. So yes, I can see some of the people, some of the listeners with us are raising their hands. So I have a co-host with me, Mr. Adi Shankar from Hyderabad. Adi, can I hear you, or are you listening me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I think you have some questions regarding this safe system approach and traffic management, that how the segregation of road as per the road user is feasible for the developing world based on the economical structure and the social structure as well. So now over to you. You can ask all the questions you were raising with our panelists. Over to you, Eddie.
Yeah, thank you and for this introduction and the thing. It was a wonderful session from all the panelists and presentations, and it was very enlightening. And they already shared a lot of very relevant and important points. What Mr. Makbul Ali and Sir Krishna Prasad and Zahir Zade. Actually, I have got some questions which have been given by Mr. Junaid of Kashmir Road Safety Foundation. So he has got something, I think, which I would categorize into safer vehicles. So his question is that inspection of vehicles that are involved in accidents are normally done by the RTO officers or the testing people. His request is that should be done by qualified engineers or people who have got technical knowledge. At present, that is not the system. That is one question. And he has also said that that there are different motor vehicle acts adopted by different states in India. So his request is for one unified motor vehicle rule across India. And safe driving practices, there should be some uniformity which should be implemented throughout the country. I think we all know at the moment one issue that we are having is uniform implementation throughout India, because of the implementation is at the state level. So he says good practices like what has been done by Kerala or something like that should be adopted to other states, and that should be uniformly implemented. So if someone
So Krishna sir, Krishna sir, would you like to answer these questions, because it is straight away directly to the technology, because technical knowledge is required for inspection of vehicle, and I think for post-crash investigation also Supreme Court committee has already issued some notification, and things are not clear yet. So would you like to draw some attention on this?
Yeah, I think Mr. Adi Shankar has raised about a bundle of questions. This one is on the technical side, yes. Though the motor vehicle inspectors are actually supposed to have been trained on technically after being selected. Now the question is, do they have a backup, or is there any support system to technically? Because the way, see, for example, I'm selected as a motor vehicle inspector some 20 years back, when there was a G in the country, okay, or there was ambassador in the country. But now the new vehicles are coming. New technology inside the vehicles is also changing. So therefore, there is a need for me to have access. I should have access to, whether you call an external consultant or an internal board or technical panel, so that I can take their help. So you have two issues. One is, how do you upgrade the skill set of the motor vehicle inspector? That is one thing. You have to do it. I mean, my understanding is you have to do it. Even if you take a constable in police department, the last rank, Do you know the police constable goes for 3 sets of training every year to upgrade himself? And that same thing you don't find in the teachers. After being selected as a teacher for 40 years, he's teaching the same thing. So some departments operate like that. So motor vehicle inspector is also, how do you upgrade his skill set? Is one.
Very nice.
Two, what is the backup that you give to him technically? Institutional backup. Now, don't talk about informal backup. Institutional backup is one. That is a technology side that you have asked. Then evidence-based enforcement. That is absolutely essential. You cannot do enforcement. You should not do enforcement which is moribund and backward technology or obsolete technology. It has to be evidence-based. I did not discuss this point earlier because both my esteemed speakers of panelists have spoken about it at length. As a philosophy, as a policy, I strongly recommend and believe that it has to be evidence-based enforcement alone. That is the second part. Then the third part is uniformity of the law across the country.
True.
There has to be a modal law for the entire country. Now, the state government should be given small liberties of tweaking the modal law to suit the local requirements. For example, if you take a look at the South Indian states, they don't tinker with the vehicle. Whatever vehicle comes from the original equipment manufacturer, the vehicle is not tinkered. It is used as it is. But if you go to Rajasthan, it is a Jugaad Gadi. It is a Jugaad Gadi carrying 3 times the load.
Irony.
So there is a chicken and egg story there. Why are you running a Jugaad Gadi and overloading it by 3 times? Because your bus service is not functioning properly. There is no service. So there is a shortage of supply. There is a huge demand. There is no service available. And the Jugaad is tolerated. It is said, okay, ठीक है, क्या करेंगे? Mudguard नहीं है, silencer नहीं है, pollution जा रहा है, everything is okay. So there are certain amount of tolerance levels, higher tolerance levels in certain states, and some other states probably, if you go to Chhattisgarh, affordability issue. So small amount of allowances should be given to the states as far as the uniform policy is concerned, but there has to be a model policy for the entire country. Then comes to the enforcement. Enforcement, as once again I would like to repeat, it has to be evidence-based enforcement. For evidence-based enforcement, the biggest challenge is your bandwidth. So the bandwidth is not the same in all parts of the country. And this is actually bandwidth is our enemy when it comes to enforcement. How do I enforce evidence-based enforcement in a state or in a rural area or in a hilly area or some other place where the bandwidth has not reached? So that's a challenge. So there has to be some kind of accommodation in such places. But yes, in general, in a country like this, India is so vast, so varied. Though there should be a modal enforcement standard operating procedures, small allowances can be given in certain places. I hope I answered all your questions.
Yeah, very nice, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for all those answers.
Yeah, and Mr. Junaid, who has raised those questions from Kashmir, I think must be cleared with the answers, I think. If anybody else would like to raise any questions, they are very much welcome. They can put their questions in the chat box at the right-hand side. Mr. Mac, you want to say something? Mr. Makbul Ali ji.
You will have to
Please
unmute.
Yeah.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah, now I got it. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Mr. Krishna actually has raised a good point, but I just want to mention, to add to his thing, is that nowadays the RTOs and the MVIs are mostly mechanical engineers. In Orissa, almost all our RTOs are engineers, and the MVI is also now having at least a diploma. That's what they're trying to do. I think this should be all over the country. This should be done now, because they are the ones who have got the knowledge, and that mechanical engineer basic knowledge will be the one which will help in assessing at the time of the accident. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the answer.
I have one more, Mr. Mac. I think you, yeah, Mr. Mac. I think you can also again give, I think, some clearance, because we have seen that intelligent traffic management system where we are using the traffic lights also, and in the 2 lanes we are using 3 traffic lights hanging there or something like. How to address these issues, because we are getting the technology, but still it is not being used in a right way. So because authorities are doing that, and we are using our resources. So lane designated traffic signal is still means, if you will see many roads where it has happened, even in Delhi, there are many examples that we have 2-lane system on a particular road, but we have 3 traffic signals over there dedicated to 3 lanes, but 2 lanes are there. So how to address such issues at authorities level also, and how NGOs can be helpful in that way?
See, this is basically a mismatch. This complete mismatch in between what the technology is and what the reality is. If you have only 2-lane traffic, how can we have a 3-lane signal system, which is wrong? You know, it's like, basically a person saying, I have got 2 legs, but I want to put 3 shoes. It can't be done like that. So what's happening is basically these interactive signaling systems. What happens with these signal systems is that when you see a density of traffic on a particular part of the road, it allows you to move faster. Now, if you at a cross section, let's say, the one side from which the more traffic is there, the density is more, the green light will come in faster and remain for a longer period till the thing is cleared out, till the traffic is cleared out. But unfortunately, our people, even the police people, are not trained enough. You can't blame them. Mr. Krishna has actually told the fact that training is required. We have to train our people to understand the system. Because just jumping, somebody who's been driving a auto rickshaw cannot jump and immediately start driving a car without having the training. So this basic training is required to upgrade ourselves. The people who actually use the technology have to be upgraded. And then the information and the training has to be, or rather, passed on through media, mostly through media, to the public, how to use it.
Great. So I think just one question is here from.
Yeah, I can see
one
question on the panel, on the chat box. There's one from Ish. Are road safety audits done on Indian highways? And what is being done to teach rules of the roads to general public drivers and pedestrians? So these are 2 questions. If someone can, that'll be nice.
Mr. Krishna, I think you should answer this.
I hope you are aware of IRAP and the audits that has to be done, and the rating, or not the ranking, but the rating, IRAP rating has to be done. So IRAP rating is not popular in India. We have not taken to that. And I strongly recommend that IRAP rating should be done. You may say IRAP rating is done elsewhere when alternative routes are available, and if there is a 5-star route compared to a 4-star route and compared to a 3-star route to reach the same destination, I will take a 5-star route if there are options. Fine.
Yeah.
That is one way of using the IRAP. The another way of using IRAP is, if my road, which I'm very much proud that as a person, I will go and cut the ribbon and dedicate that road or a highway for the country. And IRAP says it is only 2.3 out of 5. I mean, I should be ashamed. So there has to be some kind of a third-party audit mechanism which
Audit.
tells you that whether the road that you have laid is safe or not. After all, it is your own people who are going to travel on that.
Using it.
You are exposing your own people to risk. So be fair and be transparent and go for a third-party audit. It is not there in India. The R&B or the PW departments do tell you that yes, we are going through it, but those that are paid by them, so they bloody well give them a good rating.
Yeah.
That's a great suggestion, sir. That's a great suggestion.
I just want to. You want
go
to
ahead.
add something or?
Yeah, I just wanted to something. You finish off first. I'll tell you. As I want to speak to you about that question about the pedestrians. I'll tell that just in
Okay.
a couple of minutes, but later on.
Yeah, I'm coming on the pedestrian issue only because Ali is with us. Yeah, because Ali is with us from Iran. So we would like to know some practices from our country from the Middle East, Iran. So Ali, can you share, do you have some basic law for the pedestrian, or are they the part of the traffic management system, or still you are also fighting for the same? Ali from Iran.
Yeah, we have more or less the same problem here, and even when you travel into the countries in the region, I was in, for example, Armenia or Georgia. They have started more or less at the same time, but they are by far ahead of us in terms of pedestrian safety. But many of my friends from other countries have mentioned that being a pedestrian in Iran or walking or passing the streets is one of the scariest things you may experience in Iran. So yeah, exactly. The right of the pedestrian and safe walking is a big issue here. We have different type of laws that pedestrians should be protected in different ways, even by the police force, or when we are working on the street design. But I can say that just maybe recent 2-3 years, it's some things in reality is happening. So you may see that we are working on how safe pedestrians should be at the intersection and the main streets, and working on leveling the walkways and the street, and how different new markings for the pedestrian, new also campaigns. But it's mainly about how we look at this linkage between different areas, for example, from schools, from, I don't know, big malls, to other places, to public transport. And the riskiest point is there when we have a safe area, for example, in the when you want to enter a mall, everything is fine there, and when you want to pass the next street or just cross the intersection near that, it's very risky because nothing is fine, and you are walking, okay, it's a very good footpath here, just in front of the mall, and you want to pass it to the next street. It's not safe, and you may see that cars coming with the highest speed, more than 50, 60, and passing, and no attention to the walkers. And so that's what's happening in Iran, in different cities, in all of the country, more or less the same. And that's the one point I can raise here that the same drivers, when go to other countries, behave in other way. I think more or less we have the same issue. We may see different Indian drivers, for example, in Dubai and other countries, are driving on the safest possible way. So that's what other people are doing hugely may affect us as a drivers. So we have three types of, I think, road users. The first part, most of the time, are respecting the law, are maybe 10% or 15%, no more. And maybe the same share are 10-15% don't care at all to the law. So like the trails of the speeding, like to break the law. So that's what they do the everyday time. But we should start with the like yeah, you should work on the maybe 67% that are at the middle through first of all having very good laws, and of course, as mentioned by Mr. Krishna, enforcement, and also informing people via campaigns, social marketing, that as instance when we are they are getting fines or tickets for speeding, it's not for revenue making, it's because we need safer speed, we need reduced speed, and what's behind this ticket. So if you don't inform people, you don't via social marketing campaigns, so the effect somehow sometimes it's the negative. So just they're thinking, okay, I'm getting fined because they want to have more money and they want to do something with our money. So it's not credible for the people. So it's as we mentioned, the safe system principle, we should work on and design it together, and people should feel that, okay, we are thinking about you. So also you should think about yourself and others that are living beside you. That's the main point, I think.
Yeah. May I now talk about the pedestrian part of it?
Please add.
Yeah. See, this will be very interesting for you to know that in England, in the UK, if you walk, see, basically of pedestrians, the thing is you walk on the footpath. If there is no footpath, you walk on the edge of the road facing oncoming traffic. This is the basic rule of pedestrians. Now, if in England or in UK, the rule is that if you are not walking on footpath, or if you are not walking facing oncoming traffic, that is in England, because they drive on the left side of the road like us Indians, so you have to walk on the right edge of the road facing oncoming traffic. Because if there's an accident, then the pedestrian will not be compensated. Insurance compensation will not be given to him if he is not facing the vehicle when he is walking.
True.
If he's on a footpath, it's all right. But if he's not on a footpath, then he'll be not given any type of insurance. That means there is a rule where which the pedestrian is also being taken care of legally. The second part is everywhere there is a road, footpaths are given. In India, it is taken for granted that footpaths are not necessary. You will find in most of the smaller towns, you will hardly find any footpath, and the footpath would be hardly about 3 feet wide. And in the 3 feet wide, like Mr. Krishna said, some good friend of ours who's a shopkeeper will keep half of his marketing stuff, right, his goods which he wants to sell on the footpath itself, which you see in Calcutta. So basically, when the designing, even now what the roads are already there, we can't do much about it. But at least when they make future roads or when they remodel the roads, they should have enough footpath space so that people have the right of way. In a place like Kenya, in a place which we don't even talk about it. In a place like Kenya, the the pedestrian has a right of way. Even if there's not a zebra crossing and he walks on the road, the vehicle has to stop. Because if the vehicle hits him, irrespective of, whichever direction he's walking, the person driving is the one who's fined, not the pedestrian. So you see, the thing is that the time has come for us to change our mindset. And like Mr. Krishna said, I agree totally with him, is that our priority has to give in to cyclists and to the pedestrians. Because today we know that for fresh air, for good health, we need people to walk around and to ride around, not to drive around. Thank you.
I have one.
The last question, sorry, yeah, Eddie, you want to say something?
Yeah, I have one question which I would like to address to both Mr. Makbul as well as Mr. Krishna Prasad. Actually, how do we fight for more and better footpaths in our cities? See, Mr. Krishna Prasad told, okay, although more accidents and more deaths are on the highways, in the cities, it's the more vulnerable road users like pedestrians and cyclists. But we also know the challenges being faced in cities in fighting for footpaths. But at the same time, I'm also seeing something very interesting. At least in Hyderabad, I've seen, and which I think is there in all cities. I've seen in Chennai also. All the spaces around the metro stations have got wonderful footpaths.
Yeah.
So it is not that it is not possible. It is possible. We have been able to allocate land, enough land, and then we have been able to segregate the area between the road and the buildings, and then keep it fairly free from encroachments. Metro has been running here in Hyderabad for almost 3 years now. I have not seen any encroachment on footpaths near metro. So
you're right.
Fight for this, across the city, even in areas which are shopping areas, which does not have metro. So that is my question.
May I, Mr. Krishna, will you go ahead first or shall I answer?
Yeah, please go ahead. I think you started.
See, in Mumbai, they have done overhead footpaths. Now, this is just like you walk up and then there is a footpath along the road.
Skywalks.
Skywalks. You got it. It's called skywalk.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So what happens, the only problem with the skywalk is that people are not using it. See, it is quite difficult to climb up about 15 feet to 20 feet and then walk. So what in some places in Bhubaneswar we've got escalators. Only because of rain, they have to have it covered. At least the escalators are covered. And then once you start going on the skywalk, it is open. But the time has come that we must seriously look into this. It's an investment. But in most crowded areas, not everywhere, where there's a heavy, dense traffic and all that, the density is more. I think the time has come we should give skywalks now. Otherwise, because already built in footpaths, you can't do anything there. You cannot break down buildings so that you can have wider footpaths. You can't do that. So practically, it's possible that if you have skywalks and give escalators, then what will happen is the elderly people and people with medical problems who cannot walk up and down can use that and go up to that height of 15 or 20 feet and use a skywalk like a regular walk and then go down through escalators.
Yeah, I think if I, am I audible?
Yeah.
Very much, yeah.
Right. So if you look at what Adi is, the question he has raised is, what is that the civil society organizations can do in making the footpaths happen and giving priority to the footpaths? So, just like you have various corporations, you have the Road Transport Corporation, you have the Metro Corporation. I think there is an immediate need to have the Corporation for Pedestrians. So it is the responsibility of the government to create a separate corporation for pedestrians. So whatever name you want to call it, so that corporation should be there. So that corporation should be given funds. So when will your priority come in? The priority comes in when there is a fund. When there is no fund, the priority doesn't come. So if as a system, as a government, as people, if you say, yes, this has to be done, you will certainly agree with me. There are so many ways of doing it. Even in a congested road, if you want to do re-engineering, you can always do re-engineering. So whether you want to do on the surface, whether you want to do it elevated, or you want to do in a tunnel, whatever
Under.
it is, depending upon the situation there. So what we can do is you can always find solutions, because where there is a will, there is a way, and that you have to demonstrate your will by incorporating a corporation or an institution, whatever name you call it, board or corporation or whatever it is. It is government and establishment driven agency with powers. It should have adequate powers, because the right of way acquisition or right of way thing is a very important thing, which is without that authority or a vertical, what we call as a land acquisition vertical, you cannot do all these things. So basically what you are doing is you are sharing, you are dividing the same 80 feet road or a 40 feet road while doing re-engineering. When you are not having any footpath, you are giving a 3 feet footpath. When you are having a 3 feet footpath, you are creating a 6 feet footpath. So you are re-engineering, and of course, what happens in a city, in an Indian city, is let us think for a moment how many types of vehicles are moving in a city road. Your RTC bus is there anyway, and a lot of my friends go in 4-wheelers. Several of our people go on 2-wheelers. These three are always there. Then suddenly you will find in many cities rickshaws are there,
Yeah.
cycles are there, pedestrians are there.
Rickshaws.
In some cities, you will also suddenly find some cattle, herd of cattle crossing the road. So, and then you have auto rickshaws. So when so many vehicles are trying to compete with each other in the same 40 feet road, and when you know those people who are going actually suffering are pedestrians and cyclists, what is, when you have to minimum give them out of 40 feet, you should give them at least 6 feet and 6 feet. That is not applied. That thought process is not there.
True.
Because that fellow doesn't have a voice. He has only blood. He has no voice. So his blood bleeds and nobody talks about it. So therefore, to answer Addy's question, the civil society organization should raise this question, raise this demand that let there be dedicated space out of your 40 feet, please give 6 feet to the pedestrian. So let there be an institutional framework, whether you call it a state board, state pedestrian board, or city pedestrian board, or a city pedestrian corporation, whatever name you call it. Give them powers, form an authority, give them funds with a mandate. That's what I have to say on this.
Yeah, agree.
I think this is a brilliant idea. We should, I think, Addy, this is one thing
Yeah,
we
that's a
can
great
actually
idea.
work upon. This is a great
Think
idea.
about
The corporation for pedestrians, because somewhere we always talk about road safety ministry. Let's start with the corporation of pedestrians, because still we don't have proper arrangement for them or the facilities for them. We have I'm just going to take the last two questions. Mr. Anurag has already mentioned one question over here. I think that is to address to Mr. Krishna, that are we able to manage lane driving? Is there any example in any of the city of India? Or as he mentioned, do we have traffic management specialists in any of the departments yet or not?
So lane management is very much essential, which is very much missing in our country. And that is largely to do with our basic respect for law. I always keep telling that, we don't, as a country, we don't have respect for law. We don't encourage respect for law. The example I have taken, when an NRI comes from USA or Australia or Singapore or Tokyo, there he is willing to follow the traffic rules. When he comes to India, he's violating the traffic rules. So that respect for law is something which has not been given importance in our country. So first thing what we should do is do a massive drive, and this drive is should be a collaboration between the government and the governmental bodies and the non-governmental bodies. So this is where the CSOs play a very important role. So fundamental thing is educate. Please respect the law of the country. If not, if you say that there are 100 laws in the country and I do not know them, you know the traffic law, traffic rules, which is written everywhere. So the first thing that the CSO should concentrate on, the NGO should concentrate on, is do a massive education drive for people to respect the traffic rules. And if you want to test any country, whether that country's people follow the law of the land, the first thing that that litmus test is whether they're following the traffic rules or not. If the people are following the traffic rules, then the citizens of this country are law-abiding citizens. If people are not following the traffic rules, these people are the violators of the law of the country. So that is first thing. The second thing is, as far as the lane discipline is concerned, as I told you, there is a complexity. Yes, I understand. There are 5 or 6 types of vehicles moving in the same 40 feet or 30 feet of space. But you have to do a kind of a segregation of whether you call it a 4-wheeler versus a 2-wheeler or whatever. Or some people do a segregation of 40 kilometers versus 20 kilometers versus 10 kilometers. Whatever it is, there has to be segregation. That segregation, not doing the segregation and not following that segregation is the biggest enemy or casualty in the Indian cities. Why we are not making any attempt to do it? We are not making any attempt to do it. Why are we not doing it? I remember in Hyderabad city, some traffic deputy commissioners of police or commissioners of police made some attempts. Immediately it is met with resistance, lot of criticism. Everybody plays to the gallery. Everybody succumbs to the some kind of a pressure, and then it is again withdrawn. The system is not supporting such introduction of lane discipline. I fully agree, Anurag. There has to be lane discipline in this country. Where because I fully feel where there is no lane discipline, where there is no respect for law, that is a reflection about the people's attitude towards the law of the country. This is a signature statement I want to make.
Yeah, true.
We as Indians, we don't want to respect the law of our country. But lane discipline is a must to avoid road accidents in our cities.
Sir, you summed it up so well. And I have one question for you here. Actually, I think because I've driven in Hyderabad in 80s also, that time we used to have all the main roads used to have lane delineation. We had the second lane for 2-wheelers. At what point, and subsequently I was not in Hyderabad, so I don't know the history. So at what point that got diluted and how did that go away?
Yeah, I think there cannot be a serious answer to that. There has to be a satirical and as and when the officers started going to Japan to study traffic management, came back, these things probably given away. Adi, I was in school, 1980s. I was in my 10th and 12th in that period. In 70s and 80s, the lane discipline was followed in Hyderabad. We were going to school on cycles, and we were following the lane discipline. We saw the rickshaws, we saw the autos, they were following the lane discipline, and there were not many accidents at that time. So yes, I fully agree. We have to reintroduce the lane discipline in all the cities of India.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So with the last question, I think this is wonderful discussion. I'm actually, we must all enjoying that, and we are getting very good input. But keeping the view in mind of this time, which is going ahead now. So we have Mr. Mohite from Nagpur with us. He's a great activist, and has been working for potholes and all, because we always talk about safer road. And I would like to share with our panelists that in our last virtual meeting where we had Mr. Banga with us, the secretary from the Supreme Court Committee on Road Safety, and we have submitted him regarding the concern regarding the pothole roads, as well as we have also raised an issue. I think Mr. Krishna has recently raised one issue regarding the stray animals and they are coming just in between the roads. So that issue has been well taken by the Supreme Court Committee, and they have started giving the guidelines to the different state governments as well. So that is one step ahead we have already taken through from our last this thing. So I just want to ask Mr. Mohite if you want to share something, or we are at the end. And Mr. Mohite, you want to say something? I think he's not there.
Yeah,
So I just, yeah. So I just want to ask one line message from all the panelists for our NGOs who are listening us and the experts. What is your message for the NGOs across the India and other developing countries and even the developed world also, that how in such a condition when COVID is here and we have to unite and work together for road safety with our mission? So Mr. Krishna, please, over to you.
Yeah, please come again. I was looking for Mr. Mohite's signature sign here. Please come again. Yeah.
So I am just saying that because we are winding up, and although the discussion is going very good, but still we have to wind it up. So a message from your side for the NGOs who are working in India and the experts or the individual who is giving his life or time for road safety.
Yeah, I think I have seen this particular sector for the last 5 years, and you have a very big challenge because not many people actually pay attention to what you are saying. And believe me, what you are saying is very, very important for the country, because after all, it affects 3% GDP of the country is lost in this sector, in this vertical. But nobody pays attention to it. And I'm sure many of you have already pained that, when you are making such an important point, the system is not paying attention. So therefore, we have to make a lot of noise. The amount of noise that we have created, unfortunately, is not adequate. The system is not responding. So the one single message I would like to give is that the noise that we are making is not enough. Make more noise. My simple message is make more noise about road safety. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I think so the time when the public will demand it through NGOs, then only our politician and the entire world will look after the road safety as a priority issue. Well said, sir. So over to you, Mr. Mac.
Simple. I think it's always been in my thoughts, and I'd like to share this is today for propagating, for actually implementing road safety in the country. The first and foremost is we need to use technology. We need to use technology in the best way possible, and we need to use media. Without using technology and media, you cannot actually spread the word of road safety. But when you are doing it, remember, don't be in front of the camera, be behind the camera. Because the moment you get in front of the camera to spread road safety, the cameraman feels and others feel that you're trying to publicize yourself. That's not important. The important part is that we, as civil society, have to push the particular knowledge and the basic information that we are losing about 150,000 people, which may work out to more than millions of man hours we are losing. And we are losing about 5 lakh crores plus of material wealth. What is the unfortunate part is that the wealth is taken into account like 3% GDP, but the man hours and the loss of life, because in India, we do not have a social security system. If a person dies, the family is devastated. we do not have some backup except in insurance. There's nothing, and the insurance sellers never pay on time anyway. So basic thing is that our friends working in road safety and propagating road safety use technology, use media to the best of your abilities, and make sure that your message about road safety goes across to the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ali.
Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
to all the panelists, and I want just to lay a stress on the fact that the safe mobility is everyone's right, and again raise the point that safety is a shared responsibility. So if I see a crash has happened on the TV or on the next street, so I should think that I can do something for stopping the next one. No difference if I'm a manager, I'm just a worker, no matter. I can do something if I'm can help NGOs by demanding or raising the issue that enough is enough, and we should work together. And as a manager, okay, I have done everything. Okay, what I can do more by looking at other I don't know NGOs, institutes, organizations all around the world. Of course, there should be something that I haven't done before, so I can push myself, my colleagues, and all the people, all the stakeholders to put one step toward the safer street and safer mobility for my country. I think it's possible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful to all the panelists and the listeners who have joined us today. And this video will be online through YouTube, and I think it was Facebook online also. So many of friends were listening us through that channel also. And last but not the least, because Federation of Community Radio Station is our partner in this virtual meetings, and we are doing this sixth virtual meeting with them. And I would like to thank them also. And Mr. Singh, if you would like to say a few words, so. Mr. Singh. I think Mr. Singh, he is speaking, but I think we are not able to listen him.
You can't hear him, no.
Yeah. He is speaking. I can see he is not muted, but I think some issue is coming. So on behalf of Federation of Community Radio Station also, I thank you all. Unfortunately, Mr. Vinod, who was about to join us for the virtual meeting, is not well and hospitalized, unfortunately, and had some health issue. So we wish him best recovery, and our wishes to his family also. Now again, Mr. Krishna, Mr. Mac, and Ali, thank you so much for joining, and the recommendations and the from your side, we are going to send to Ministry of Road Transport, and we are looking for some concrete result out of our virtual meeting also. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you, ma'am. So nice of you. Thank you. I'll appreciate if it's possible to share everyone's email with us so that we can interact with each other. Can you please share the emails?
Definitely. Through this meeting, I think on Zoom we have. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Addresses. So we'll share those email addresses with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
Take
Krishna.
care.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Ali.
Thank you, everybody.